I want to just leave you guys with one story I came across this week. Everybody, you've heard us talk about Roger Bannister as the first man to break the 4-minute mile. And by the way, historians don't even think that's true anymore. They think that in ancient times, that was what the top athletes did. Because there seems to be some writings in ancient times that the 4-minute mile, being able to run a 4-minute mile meant that you were the perfect athlete, way back like thousands of years ago. Isn't that interesting? But yet in modern times, it took all the way till 1954 for Roger Bannister to break the 4-minute mile. And what most people don't realize is that there were other people just about to do it. There was a guy actually faster than Bannister named John Landy. And John Landy, he was about to break the 4-minute mile, and so Bannister realized that race was the day he had to do it, or Landy beat him to it. Sure enough, he beat Landy to it, and within just a matter of weeks, Landy went out and beat it too, and he beat the record. He did a faster time than Bannister had even done. And someone dreamed up the idea of taking these two and squaring them off against each other one-on-one and having them race each other. And they did it at a time when they were still the only two that had ever broken the 4-minute mile. Of course, it was just a matter of years before hundreds and hundreds of people had done it. But they did this race up at the Empire Games in Vancouver, British Columbia in 1954. And it was a big deal. 30,000 people turned out to see this race, and they called it the Miracle Mile. And they were running this race, and toward the end of the race, John Landy was in the lead. And it looked for sure that he was going to win the race, except for some unexplained reason, John Landy looked behind him. He looked over his shoulder to see where Bannister was. And it was during that exact moment when he was pivoting his head one way, Bannister passed him on the other side to win the race. Many years later, 1967, a very good year if you ask me, they made a bronze statue of that moment in that race of Landy looking back and Bannister shooting past on the other side. And it's still on display out in front of the Empire Games arena, as I understand it. And Landy said, Lot's wife got turned into a pillar of salt for looking back, and I'm the only one that ever got turned into bronze for looking back. I appreciated his humor about that. But that statue, you can look it up online and look at the picture of it. I looked at that statue and I thought, that speaks volumes to a principle we can all learn from. The first one is this, be careful comparing yourself to others. Now, competition is healthy if done properly, and the others in the proper context are there to keep you honest about the competition and to remind you of what's possible. But the Bible is very clear that trying to be superior to others is a clear sin. The reason competition is healthy is because it's supposed to make you superior to your previous performance. If it's all about you asserting yourself as dominant, you should examine your motives. But if it's about you realizing you could do better, if they can do it, I can do it, as Manasseh said up here today during his segment, then that's how competition is healthy. So the first part I took from that little story was, be careful comparing yourself to others. Notice what happened. Landy should have won the race, but his personal best was affected by the fact that he was comparing to how he was doing against Bannister. Landy was a faster runner at that moment in time, at that point in his career, than Bannister was. But because he was trying to beat Bannister, he lost to Bannister. See the difference? It's oh so subtle. So be careful how you compare yourself to others. Do it in a way that reminds you of the greatness that's within inside of you and forces you to run your race your best.